Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here reminding you to bring the noise.
Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more than one I should. Yeah, Hollywood, well kiss me good. Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you.
So it's October 2013, almost November 2013, and in the year that we've had as far as music goes, all I know is that I'm glad to say that there is at least one more music review that I can actually bring to you today. As always, two albums from two artists that I follow, and we're going to begin with the first one. There is no title on this album, but it is in fact a self-titled record from one of the greatest progressive metal bands, Dream Theater. And these guys have been around for so long, and they really have come a long way. And in their last album, A Dramatic Turn of Events, they let their drummer, who has basically been around with them from the very beginning, Mike Portnoy, he's gone, and I believe I mentioned this when I reviewed A Dramatic Turn of Events, and I will place a link to that review below. But with their newest drummer on the group, and this core group of guys still around after so long, this band has actually gone back to where they began, and they've actually really given us a sound of Dream Theater that we never thought that we would hear again because they had just progressed so much, but they've really brought back their classic sound from their first 4 albums, even 5 albums if you count Scenes from a Memory, which is also known as Metropolis Part 2, and they basically incorporated their first couple of albums along with some classic progressive rock sounds from Rush, Yes, and even Pink Floyd to give us probably one of their strongest albums in years. And the fact that it's self-titled, they never had a self-titled album before, but it basically is a bold statement saying that we are doing something truly special moving forward, and this album is fantastic. Probably the best songs on this album are The Enemy Inside, The Bigger Picture, Behind the Veil, and Everybody Goes Crazy Over Surrender to Reason, which has an unreal intro that is very similar to a Rush song. These guys are fantastic. If you're not a metal fan, I really say, open your mind, because this band sounds like nothing you've ever seen before. If you actually listen to classical music, a band like Dream Theater with their progressive sound is something that you really would appreciate. Forget about every other metal band and just give these guys a listen. I may have to do a Gnome doc on these guys just to show you how truly great Dream Theater is. So we'll move on to the next band, and I'm glad to say that I found out about this before the album got released. This is the 4th installment of Alter Bridge's legacy. If you don't know who Alter Bridge is, if you've listened to Creed, it's basically the Creed members minus Scott Stapp and the lead singer Miles Kennedy, who is so much better than Scott Stapp. And this is their 4th album, Fortress, and I must say that this was probably one of the biggest surprises I got this year. It's not the greatest album that I've heard this year, but these guys really took a different turn, and that's why their band is called Alter Bridge. Creed was such a stale and repetitive sound. Even though I do have the first 3 albums, I'm not too fond of their 4th. If you have their 4th album, let me know what your thoughts are on it if you like it. But this time these guys, like Dream Theater, takes a more progressive sound and really brings us a sound that Alter Bridge has never had. Each song is very diverse. There's no same sound in any one of these tracks. I went to Best Buy, so I got the one with the bonus track, which is called Outright, and that's probably the best song on the album, at least for me, but there's so many amazing different sounds through each and every one of these tracks, and because of that, I really think that Alter Bridge is no longer a side project. They've officially gotten 4 albums under their belt, and that's just the same amount that they had with Creed. Scott Phillips, Brian Marshall, and Mark Tremonti have just come such a long way, and their talents are really shown in this band that they've put together, and I'd like to see this band really come out with a solid 10 records. And that's it, guys. So 2 great albums. I highly recommend the 2 of them. And let me know what your thoughts are if you have in fact heard of these bands or have something to say about them. And the question that I want to leave with you today is there's 2 new albums coming out from 2 grunge bands, Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots. If you're fans of these two bands, I'd really like to know if you've purchased the album or plan to purchase the album, and when you do, if you do, what your thoughts are on these two new records. And do these two bands really still have what they had way back when they first came out in the early 1990s, which to me is the greatest era of music. I am the Lawn Gnome, and remember that actions speak louder than words.